Hideandgoseek. This is one of many strange things that happened to me in my childhood home. This house was a very old 2-story wooden house, or Queenslander as we called them in Australia. I was around the age of 12 at this time. On this particular night, my auntie and uncle had come to visit us, and along with them were my 4 cousins from the ages of 6 to 14. My parents were outside on the deck at the back of the house catching up with my auntie and uncle. Us kids decided that we would play hide and seek in the dark. One of my cousins was elected to be the finder, and the rest of us hid. Being my house, I naturally knew the best places, and so I chose to hide between a linen cupboard and the wall of our bathroom, with the door of the cupboard opened to create an enclosed space for me to hide. I could hear my cousins searching, and sounds were very clear whenever one of them was found, walked past, or even talked. After a while, I still had not been found, and I realized that I could not hear them searching. I waited a little longer as I thought it may have been a trick to lure me out. After another 10 minutes or so, I decided that I will come out. As I was about to push the door open, in my ear I hear a soft giggling and whispering. It was almost like someone was laughing at me for some reason. It felt so close to my ear that I could feel it. I couldn't make out the words, but they were saying something and laughing about it softly. I assumed it was my cousins on the other side of the cupboard, though part of me felt it was something else. And the voice I did not recognize. It was a child's voice, and I pushed the door open and walked out into the dark hall to realize that I was the only person in the entire house. At this moment, I was quite freaked out and ran as fast as I could outside to where my parents were entertaining on the deck. As I got to them, I could see that everyone was out there, and one of my cousins mentioned that they gave up searching a long time ago. I was speechless. All I know is that there was someone there that night, and whoever it was playing hide and seek with us. The Hide and Seek Ghost. My brother and I were going to spend the night at our best friend's house. It was a week before Halloween. Every time we spent the night at our friend David's house, we always stayed up late. It was about midnight when we went outside to play hide and seek. My brother and I ran back to the house and found a shed that David didn't know about. David was the seeker like always. As we were waiting for David, we saw a shadow at the other end of the house. It shouted something at us and started running to us. I went to the opposite side of the shed, waiting for what I thought was David. It finally made it to my brother's side of the shed, so I ran out into the darkness. I realized that my brother wasn't following me, so I went back to the shed to find my brother standing by the shed staring into the darkness. I asked him if anything came back by him. He said no. He also said that he saw a shadow circle around 2 times and then disappeared. It was odd because we both saw the same thing, but it did different things to both of us. As soon as we realized something was wrong, we ran back to the house. As we came to the front door, our friend David jumped out and scared us even more. We told him we saw something back there, and he said he saw something too. We never saw anything else that night, or to this day forward. Hide and Seek Hauntings. So it was a sunny day in August, and me, my little brother, and our 2 other cousins were playing hide and seek. Very not spooky, right? This isn't the first time I've seen a ghost, but that is different. Anyways, it was my turn to count, so I picked a really obvious place so that I could see everything. So I counted to 100 and looked around, and I thought I saw one of my cousins. So I followed them into the darkest corner of the little wood behind my grandma's house. I looked into the corner, but my cousin wasn't there. It was a white figure. It was staring at me like it was happy to see me. It was very tall with long flowing hair. I knew it was a woman. She opened her mouth to say something, but no words came out. We stared at each other for about 5 minutes until she walked past me with her hand out to touch me, but she hesitated and disappeared. I found my relatives very easily as they were together. So after, I went to see my great-grandmother, who lived there since 1930, and asked her about this woman. She said it was my late great-great-grandmother who lived there before and that she had always wanted great-great-grandchildren. I was shocked about this. I went straight to the place where I had seen her. My great-great-grandmother was nowhere to be seen. I haven't seen her since, but I have heard some strange sounds around the corner, but I don't particularly want to be there again. Why? Because it's shocking that I have felt such a connection to one of my late relatives, Marcus. Hide and seek. Hello. I will tell you something that happened to me when I was about 4 years of age. I have only recently been submitting this story to other websites, and I've been telling people about it ever since I learned that what I believed it was insanely different from what I thought at the time. When I was little and only had one dog at the time, one of my parents would take him on a walk, and the other would stay home and played hide and seek with me. It was so I wouldn't get bored and because the dog would always give away our hiding places. One night, in the late fall or early summer at about 9 o'clock, my dad was out walking our dog, and my mom was playing hide and seek with me at home. After about 4 rounds, I was the one seeking. I counted to 10 in the living room, facing the fireplace, only 10 because I couldn't count very high at that age. I searched most of the house, which was very small, only 1 story and not too complicated. And when I couldn't find my mom, I decided to start from the beginning. I started at the fireplace and checked behind the chair which was right next to it. I was about to give up when I turned around and looked into the entryway. The living room is right across from our entryway, and it connects a short hallway in the kitchen as well. I turned around a bit and saw what looked like a 3D shadow, gray and black, silently, very silently, run from the hallway and into the kitchen. Me, being only 4 at the time, thought that it was my mother. I followed it into the kitchen and looked around there in the dining room, but didn't find my mother. Even though 2 of our hide-and-seek rules were never change places unless you want to be found, and never hide in the garage or outside, I checked the garage. I never found her there, so I gave up. She called me from her room, where she was hiding behind the bed. The problem with this is, my parents' room is on the complete other side of the house that I saw the shadow running toward. I said, "Mom, I saw you run from the hall," and she replied saying that she was there all along. Now, you probably are saying that it was probably my shadow. I wasn't running at the time, I was turning. The shadow was also way too tall to be mine. Could my mom have been lying? I never heard any footsteps. Also, isn't it a bit strange that I saw it run into the kitchen, saw nothing exit through the dining room into the garage, and heard nothing open? At that point in my life, I didn't understand the concept of a ghost, so I never had a thought that it wasn't my mom. I mean, I was starting to suspect that it was. A few years after, then I knew. I finally told my mom what I'd seen that night. When I told her I was 11, she looked at me like she believed everything I said. Then she told me that before I was born, my dad came home from work on 2 occasions very upset. Both those times, my mom had looked into the entryway and seen two shadow-like figures side by side. One was tall and one was short. She told me that she believes that they were guardian angels, looking out for him in his time of need, trying to calm him down. I remember that night, he had come home angry from being sprayed by a skunk. I believe I saw the tall figure that night.